Today we'll talk about Firebase Firestore, which is used to save data to our database. So in our project, I have designed a screen. I created another activity, and this activity has some fields in it. The first one is the name of the user, followed by the age, and then the bio. And there is a button there called Save Info. So this is going to be used to save the user info whenever the user clicks on it. Now in the activity, I have initialized those widgets. I have referenced them by their ID. So there is a button and the edit text. There are three edit texts. Now, what I'm going to do in the verification code, after the verification is successful, instead of sending the user to the account activity, it sends the user to the setup activity for the user to fill in his information like his name, age, and bio. And I'll do the same thing to the sign in activity, change it to setup activity. And what I want to do here is to put an intent to detect if the user is actually coming from the sign-in activity or the user is coming from the account activity, because we want to be able to change the text of the button so that when the user is coming from the account activity, the button will say save or edit info. If the user is coming from the sign-in activity, then the button will say save info because it is actually the first time. So that is what this intent of put extra does. And then I'll have to get the extras from the two activities. So here I'll call a string. I'll just say incoming. That's the name I always use for my extra string. And then I'll get the intent and then get string extra. Then the action name, that's the ID, is check string check. So here is a part where we check if the ID is either from the account activity or from the sign-in activity. So I will say if incoming dot equals to setup, if it's setup, which means the user is coming from the sign-in activity, then we have to tweak the text of the button. But I'll copy it and paste it below, because if I should paste it before the widgets, then the application is going to crash because the save button wasn't initialized first before the extras. So as I'll set the text here to save text dot save dot set text to setup accounts, because it is actually the first time. And then the else parts will just say edit accounts info. So initialize Firebase Firestore, call Firebase Firestore and initialize it in the onCreate method. Say Firebase Firestore equals Firebase Firestore does get instance. Almost the same way the mauth is authenticated. And I'll set an on-click listener for the button itself. so that when the user clicks the button, it saves the info to the Firebase database. So I initialize the string called name and then get the text, and then they follow the second widget, which is the age. The age will actually be a number, by the way, but we don't worry about that. We can convert everything to a text. So I'll just say age.getText.toString. And lastly, the bio. So say bio string and get the text from the bio edit text. So whenever the process is currently ongoing, we want to uh, call a progress dialog so that the user knows that something is happening. So we'll call progress dialog and initialize it. In here, I will fire up a method called start working. That isn't really a descriptive name, but let's stick with that for the sake of the tutorial. I'm passing those strings as parameter. The first is the name string, followed by the age, and thirdly is the bio. Then hit Alt Enter to create the method. Now accept that, accept all of them. Get the progress dialog running. When the process starts, set the title to just a moment, and then set the message to something like please wait or whatever you want to say. Or setting up accounts is actually okay. And don't forget to always show it. Here I will call to actually send data to Firebase, we normally use map. So I'll call a map and then give it a type of string and a value of object, then initialize it. And then map dot add, no, that's supposed to be add, put, yes, for the method name. So the first one is the name, and I will give the value as the name string from our parameter, followed by the age, and then assign a value to it, which is the age string. Then the biography, I'll just say biography. I hope I spelled that correctly. Yeah, I think so. Biostring. And now it is time to actually send the data that was collected from the user to Firebase Firestore. So I'll create a collection in the Firebase database, and this collection I will call it users. So you can either use add or set, but the difference is add will actually add the data to Firestore and generate a random ID, while set will add the data to Firestore. Then if the collection exists, it will overwrite all the data inside the collection. But if the collection doesn't exist, it will create the collection and then add the data to it. So, but the reason why we normally use add is because of the random ID that it generates. It is actually good when you're retrieving a list of data and then paginating through all of them, like a newsfeed app, like Facebook application. So that's why I'm using add for this. That said, let's head over to the code again. So here I will say add and then call the map, then add an on-complete listener to listen for the task completion, and also add an on-failure listener to detect when the task fails. So here I can get the document ID that was generated because I use the add method. So I can say string doc equals documents reference dot get ID. As simple as that. So it adds the data to Firestore and then you get the ID that was generated back. So we will see this in Firebase Firestore when we run the application. So I'll write a comment there called fetch the generated IDs, so you know what's going to happen. And for error handling, we'll just call it as something went wrong, and then make sure you call the exception also, so give it a descriptive error. Say e does get message. That will get the actual error. So it will be better for us to dismiss the progress bar whenever the task completes or fails. So here I'll test the application, and I'm going to sign in with my email address, and the password is password. So I'll click register. Okay, I think I deleted the other user, so this is actually a new user. And then here is the setup screen. So input my name, my surname, and then the age. I am 28 this year, but I'm not going to add this year to my age because I didn't use it, so I'll just stick with 27. Then as for the bio, I'll just say Android developer, and there the button says set up account, which means it is the first time. So let's see if it works. So it works. The data was actually added to Firestore, and there is it. And if you take a look at it closely, okay, I added something else here so as to navigate to the other activity when it has it successful. So it navigates to the account setup activities screen. And there's something else we need to add. We need to add in the multiple index, because there are a lot of methods in Firebase library, and also the method that we created. So Android finds it difficult at times to crunch all these things. So to make that easy, we enable the multi-index to true. And let's head over to the database and see what we have there. So just like I said, we use the add method, which will generate a random ID, and that is a random ID that was generated in the document. So here we get the ID, but we didn't do anything with the ID, we just fetch it. So that's it for this tutorial, guys. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video. If you have any questions, let me know.